Hey guys, thank you so much for all the love on the last video. I genuinely did not expect that kind of response, so thank you. Because of that, I figured I would come back today with another batch of stories, and honestly, this one gets a little unhinged in places. We've got some neighbor drama, some family stuff, and a couple of situations that had me stuck for a second on who was actually in the wrong. As always, I'll give my honest take after each one, so let's just get into it. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I'm not paying for my sister's wedding after they promised them I would? This one is from a family finance subreddit, and it starts off with a promise that was never actually the poster's to make. The poster says he is 32, financially stable, and has always had a good relationship with his parents. His younger sister got engaged last year, and during a family dinner, his mother mentioned that he would be happy to help cover part of the wedding costs, specifically the catering. He says he never agreed to this beforehand and found out about the expectation the same way everyone else at the table did in the moment. Finding out about a financial commitment at the dinner table, along with everyone else, is not really the same as agreeing to it. He pulled his mother aside afterward and clarified that he never said he would pay for anything, and that he assumed she misunderstood something he said in passing about wanting to contribute a gift. His mother insisted she remembered the conversation clearly, and that backing out now would embarrass the family in front of the in-laws who were also at that dinner. That puts the responsibility on him for a conversation he says never happened the way she describes it. He ended up telling his parents directly that he would give a reasonable wedding gift like any other guest, but he would not be covering catering costs he never agreed to. His sister found out and accused him of humiliating her in front of her fiancé's family. His mother has since told relatives that he backed out of a commitment last minute without mentioning that the commitment was hers to begin with. Being expected to fulfill a promise you never actually made puts you in an unfair position no matter how the story gets told to everyone else. Let us get into the next one, because this next story involves a group chat and a birthday that did not go as planned. Am I the a-hole for leaving my friend's birthday dinner early after finding out I was invited as a backup? This one comes from a friendship drama subreddit, and it is one of those situations that only becomes clear after the fact. The poster explains that a friend invited her to a birthday dinner, and she happily rearranged her schedule to attend since it had been a while since they had properly hung out. A few days before the dinner, she noticed in the group chat that the friend had originally invited a different, larger group of people first, and only reached out to her after several people from that first group declined. Being asked after other people said no is a very different feeling than being someone's first choice. She still went, not wanting to make a big deal out of it, and the dinner itself was fine at first. About halfway through, the birthday friend made an offhand comment to the table, saying something like, "I'm just glad someone could make it, since basically everyone else bailed." The comment was said casually, but a couple of people at the table looked at her, since she knew exactly why she had been invited. Saying that out loud, even casually, changes the tone of the whole evening for the person who now realizes they were a fallback option. She left shortly after, saying she had an early morning the next day, which was true but not the actual reason she left. Her friend texted her later that night asking if everything was okay, and when she finally explained how the comment made her feel, her friend said she was reading too much into an innocent joke and that she should not have brought her insecurities into someone else's birthday. Being told you are overreacting to a comment that confirmed exactly what you suspected does not really make the comment any less true. Now let us move to the next story, because this one is about a car and a decision that a lot of siblings might actually relate to. Am I the a-hole for selling the car my brother was supposed to inherit after he never followed through on our agreement? This one is from a family disputes subreddit, and it involves an agreement that fell apart slowly over time. The poster says their father passed away a couple of years ago and left behind an old car that both siblings had informally agreed the younger brother would take, since he was the one learning to drive at the time and did not have a vehicle. The condition, agreed upon by both siblings and their mother, was that the brother would handle the outstanding registration fees and basic maintenance costs within a few months, since the poster had been covering the storage fee at a private garage in the meantime. An informal agreement still comes with expectations that were clearly discussed and understood by everyone involved. Months passed, and the brother kept saying he would handle the paperwork soon, but never did. The poster kept paying storage costs alone during this time, without much acknowledgement from anyone. After nearly a year of this pattern continuing, the poster decided to sell the car instead, using part of the proceeds to cover the unpaid storage fees, and mentioned it to the family only after the sale was already finalized. Waiting almost a year for a small task that was promised repeatedly is a long time to keep covering costs alone. The brother was furious when he found out, saying the car was supposed to be his no matter what, and that selling it without a final conversation was a betrayal of their father's wishes. Their mother sided with the brother, saying family agreements should not be broken just because someone was slow to follow through. The poster says he gave more than enough time and communicated the frustration multiple times before finally acting. An agreement that keeps getting delayed indefinitely eventually stops being a real agreement, even if it was well-intentioned at the start. Let us jump into the next one, because this next story is about a roommate situation involving something a lot smaller, but somehow just as tense. Am I the a-hole for changing the Wi-Fi password after my roommate kept adding people without asking? This one is from a roommate conflict subreddit, and it is a smaller issue that built up over time into a real boundary problem. The poster explains that she splits the internet bill evenly with her roommate, and the account is registered under her name since she set it up originally. Over the past few months, she noticed the network showing more connected devices than she recognized. When she asked her roommate about it, her roommate admitted she had given the Wi-Fi password to her boyfriend and separately to a friend who visits sometimes to work remotely, without asking the poster first. Sharing something that is jointly paid for with outside people without checking first changes the terms of what was originally agreed upon. She asked her roommate to stop doing this going forward, and her roommate agreed at the time, but a similar situation happened again a month later with a different visiting friend. At that point, the poster changed the password without telling her roommate in advance, and only shared the new one directly with her, explaining that outside guests would need to ask permission each time going forward. Changing the password after a repeated pattern is a direct response to something that was already discussed and ignored once before. Her roommate was upset, saying she felt like she was being treated like a child over something as small as Wi-Fi access, and that friends and partners using internet occasionally should not be a big deal between roommates. The poster pointed out that it was never really about the Wi-Fi itself, but about being asked the same thing twice and having it ignored again regardless. Something being small does not really matter once it becomes a pattern that keeps repeating after being addressed. Now let us get into the next story, because this one involves a proposal and a moment that probably should have stayed private. Am I the a-hole for telling my best friend I will not be her maid of honor after how she reacted to my engagement? This one is from a friendship and wedding subreddit, and it is a situation built on years of a one-sided dynamic finally coming to a head. The poster says she and her best friend have known each other since college and have always supported each other through major life events. When the poster got engaged last month, she called her best friend right away to share the news, expecting the same excitement she had shown for her best friend's engagement the year before. Instead, her best friend's first reaction was to bring up her own wedding planning stress, saying something like, "I hope this doesn't mean I have to plan 2 showers this year." That response redirects a moment that was supposed to be about someone else's happy news. The poster brushed it off at the time, assuming it was just an off comment made without much thought. But over the following weeks, whenever she tried to talk about her own wedding planning, her best friend consistently steered the conversation back toward her own wedding, which had already happened months earlier, comparing details and offering unsolicited comparisons rather than genuine excitement. A pattern repeating across multiple conversations is different from a single comment made in a bad moment. When her best friend later asked to be her maid of honor, the poster said she had decided to ask someone else instead, without offering much of an explanation at first. Her best friend was hurt and pushed for a reason, and when the poster finally explained how she had felt these past few weeks, her best friend said she was being sensitive, and that friends are allowed to relate their own experiences to each other's news. Relating experiences is different from consistently making someone else's milestone feel smaller in comparison. Let us move to the final story for this batch, and this one involves a family pet and a decision that split an entire household. Am I the a-hole for rehoming the dog my ex left behind after he said he would come back for it? This last one is from a pets and relationships subreddit, and it is a situation that dragged on far longer than it probably should have. The poster explains that she and her ex adopted a dog together during their relationship, and after they broke up, he moved into a temporary living situation that did not allow pets. He asked if the dog could stay with her for a few weeks until he found a new place, and she agreed, since it seemed like a reasonable short-term arrangement at the time. A few weeks is a specific and limited request, not an open-ended one. Those few weeks turned into nearly 8 months. During that time, the poster covered all of the dog's food, vet visits, and daily care entirely on her own, while her ex mentioned the dog occasionally in conversation, but never made concrete plans to take him back, citing one delay after another about his living situation. 8 months of full responsibility is a very different reality from the original short-term favor that was agreed upon. After finding a stable, loving home for the dog through someone she trusted, the poster made the decision to rehome him and informed her ex only after the arrangement was already finalized. Her ex was upset, saying she should have given him more time and that she had no right to make that decision unilaterally about a dog they had adopted together. The poster pointed out that 8 months of silence, aside from vague promises, was more than enough time already given. A decision made after months of being the only one actually showing up for that responsibility is not really the same as acting without warning. Am I the a-hole for telling my neighbor's kid he cannot keep coming into our yard uninvited? This one is from a neighborhood subreddit, and it starts off innocent before turning into a whole disagreement between adults. The poster says a family moved in next door about 6 months ago with a 9-year-old son. The kid started coming over occasionally to play with the poster's own children, which was fine at first since the kids got along well. Over time, though, the neighbor's son began showing up on his own, without a parent walking him over or even a text beforehand, sometimes letting himself into the backyard through a side gate that was left unlocked for deliveries. A kid letting himself into someone else's yard without any notice is different from a supervised visit that was actually arranged. The poster mentioned this a couple of times to the neighbor casually, saying it would be great if they could just text first so everyone knows the plan. The neighbor agreed each time, but the pattern continued. One afternoon, the poster came home to find the boy sitting in their backyard alone, since the poster's own kids were not even home at the time, playing on a swing set without anyone in the house aware he was there. Finding a child alone in your yard when nobody invited him that day is a real concern that goes beyond simple neighborhood friendliness. He installed a proper lock on the side gate and told the neighbor directly that her son could visit, but only with advance notice and ideally when their own kids were actually present. The neighbor got upset, accusing the poster of overreacting to a child just wanting to play, and said locking a gate against a 9-year-old felt cold and unwelcoming for the neighborhood. Setting a basic boundary about who can access private property, especially involving a child's safety, is not really about being unwelcoming. Let us move to the next story, because this one involves a group trip and money that never quite got sorted out. Am I the a-hole for refusing to switch seats on a flight so a couple could sit together? This one is from a travel stories subreddit, and it is a situation a lot of frequent flyers will probably recognize immediately. The poster explains that she booked her flight months in advance and specifically paid extra for an aisle seat, since she has a minor medical condition that makes long periods without moving around uncomfortable. Midway through boarding, a couple approached her, explaining they had been seated separately due to a late booking, and asked if she would be willing to switch to a middle seat further back so they could sit together. Being seated apart because of a late booking is unfortunate, but it is a separate issue from someone else's seat that was specifically chosen and paid for. She explained politely that she needed the aisle seat specifically because of her condition, and offered to help find a flight attendant who might be able to sort out a different solution for them instead. The couple seemed annoyed, but walked away. A few minutes later, another passenger who overheard the exchange loudly commented that it would not have killed her to just be a little more accommodating for one flight. A stranger commenting on a private conversation does not really account for the reason behind the original decision. After landing, the poster found out through a mutual friend that the couple had been complaining about her online in a travel group, describing her as selfish without mentioning that she had actually offered an alternative solution or explaining why she needed that particular seat. Leaving out the context of why someone declined tends to make a reasonable decision look far worse than it actually was. Now, let us get into the next one, because this next story is about a group project and credit that went completely to the wrong person. Am I the a-hole for telling my professor my group partner did not contribute to our final project? This one is from a college life subreddit, and it is the kind of situation a lot of students unfortunately deal with at some point. The poster says he was paired with another student for a semester-long group project worth a significant portion of the final grade. Early on, they agreed on a rough division of work, with each person handling separate sections before combining everything into one final submission. As the deadline approached, the poster kept reaching out about deadlines, and his partner kept promising updates that never actually arrived. Repeated promises without any actual progress is a pattern that eventually needs to be addressed directly. With less than 2 days left, the poster realized his partner had not completed any of the agreed sections at all. Rather than risk failing the entire project, he stayed up finishing everything himself, submitting the completed work under both of their names, since that was still technically accurate for the assignment structure. During the final presentation, his partner spoke confidently about sections he never actually wrote, answering questions as though he had done the research himself. Presenting work you did not do as though you understand it firsthand is different from simply being listed as a group member. Afterward, the poster privately emailed the professor, laying out exactly which sections each person had actually completed, along with a basic timeline of the messages sent leading up to the deadline. His partner found out and accused him of trying to sabotage his grade out of pettiness, saying group projects are supposed to be shared efforts and that raising this after the fact was unnecessary since the project was already submitted successfully. Submitting the work does not really erase who actually did it, especially when someone else is receiving equal credit for none of the effort. Let us jump into the next story, because this one involves a sibling and a car accident that was never fully explained. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I will not cover her portion of our shared storage unit anymore? This one is from a family finance subreddit, and it is a slow build-up of one person carrying more than their fair share. The poster explains that she and her sister rented a storage unit together 3 years ago to keep some shared family items, along with each of their own extra belongings, splitting the monthly cost evenly from the start. About a year in, her sister mentioned she was going through a temporarily tight month and asked if the poster could cover her half just once, promising to pay her back the following month. A one-time favor between siblings is a reasonable thing to agree to when it is presented as temporary. That 1 month turned into an ongoing pattern, with her sister asking again every few months, each time with a similar explanation and a similar promise to catch up soon. The poster kept covering it, assuming it would eventually even out, but after nearly 2 years of intermittent payments, she calculated that she had covered significantly more than her fair share of the total cost without ever actually being paid back in full. Occasional short-term help looks very different once it is added up over years instead of judged 1 month at a time. She told her sister that going forward, she needed her to pay her own portion consistently, or the unit would need to be downsized to something the poster could manage on her own. Her sister was hurt, saying she never meant to take advantage, and that pointing out exact numbers now, after all this time, felt like keeping score against family. Keeping track of money that was actually spent is not the same as keeping score, especially after years of carrying more than what was agreed. Now on to the next one, because this last pair of stories involves some pretty tense family gatherings. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law she is not allowed to discipline my kids in my own house? This one is from a parenting subreddit, and it is a boundary issue that took a while to actually get addressed directly. The poster says her mother-in-law visits fairly often and has always been involved in her grandchildren's lives, which the poster generally appreciates. Over the past several months, though, she noticed her mother-in-law increasingly stepping in to correct or scold the kids over small things, like how they were sitting at the table or how loudly they were speaking, often before the poster or her husband had a chance to respond themselves. A grandparent offering occasional guidance is different from consistently taking over parenting decisions in someone else's home. She brought this up gently with her husband first, who agreed it had gotten to be a bit much, but neither of them said anything directly to his mother for a while, hoping it would naturally ease off on its own. It did not. During a recent family dinner, her mother-in-law raised her voice at the poster's youngest child over spilling a small amount of juice before the poster even had a chance to grab a napkin. Raising your voice at someone else's child in their own home crosses a line that had already been building for a while. The poster calmly but firmly told her mother-in-law that she appreciated her involvement, but that discipline in her own house needed to come from her and her husband directly going forward. Her mother-in-law was visibly upset, later telling her husband that she felt disrespected and unwelcome in a home she has always considered like her own. Her husband has been caught in the middle, unsure how to keep both people happy. Addressing a boundary in your own home does not really make someone unwelcome, even if it changes a pattern they had grown used to.